Hello, hello. We are back again with some more scary Reddit stories. Tonight we're starting to delve into some. These stories are about animals, pets to be exact. Let's get stuck in. This is from Scary Stories with the user Stunning Total 8098. I live alone in a house that I inherited from my grandmother. It's an old place, a bit run down, but it's been in the family for generations. When I moved in a few months ago, I thought it would just need some updating. Fresh coat of paint, new furniture. I didn't expect anything strange. I have a dog, a border collie named Michelle. She's usually calm, smart, and well behaved, but lately she's been acting weird. At first, I thought she was just adjusting to the new place, but then it started happening every night. Michelle would sit in the hallway, staring at the attic door, barking like crazy. I brushed it off at first. Dogs bark at all sorts of things, right? Maybe she heard something outside or smelled a stray cat. But her barking, it's different. It's desperate, like she's scared or trying to warn me about something. A few weeks ago, I decided to check the attic for myself. I figured there might be squirrels or raccoons nesting up there, making noise at night. I grabbed a flashlight, pulled down the attic ladder and climbed up. The air was thick with dust and the wooden beams creaked under my weight. Let me tell you, you don't want to be slipping off those beams. There were a few old boxes, some furniture covered in sheets and cobwebs everywhere. Nothing out of the ordinary. I did a quick sweep with the flashlight and didn't find anything unusual. No signs of animals, no noise, nothing. Satisfied that it was just Michelle being paranoid. Yeah, because dogs are generally prone to being paranoid. I climbed back down and closed the attic, but that didn't stop her from barking. Every night, like clockwork, she'd sit there growling and barking at the attic door. She'd refuse to leave, no matter how much I tried to pull her away. Her eyes would stay fixed on the door, ears flat and body tense. Then about a week ago, something changed. It was around 2 a.m. and Michelle was at it again, barking like her life depended on it. I was exhausted, so I grabbed her leash and figured I'd at least take her for a walk outside, hoping it would calm her down. But as I got closer to the attic door, I noticed something strange. There was a faint scratching sound. It was so soft that I almost didn't hear it over Michelle's barking, but it was there. I froze, my hand halfway to the leash. The scratching came again, this time a little louder, like something was scraping against the wood. I backed away slowly, my heart racing, and took Michelle outside. The fresh air helped me clear my head, but I couldn't shake the sound from my mind. When we got back inside, Michelle was calmer, but she kept glancing at the door. That night I didn't sleep. The scratching became a regular thing every night at around 2 a.m. It would start softly, just a faint scraping noise, but over time it got louder. It didn't sound like an animal anymore, it sounded like something trying to get out. 2 nights ago I decided to record it. I set up my phone in the hallway and hit record, then went back to bed, hoping to catch the sound. When I checked the footage the next morning, my heart dropped. Michelle was sitting in front of the attic door like usual, barking and growling. But as the scratching started, something else happened. The attic door began to shake, just slightly at first, then more violently. It was subtle, like someone was gently pushing against it from the other side. And then just as quickly as it started, it stopped. Michelle backed away, her barking turning into whines. Her tail was between her legs and she was staring at the door, trembling. But what really got me, what made my blood run cold, was the last few seconds of the video. Just as Michelle turned to run, something moved. It was hard to see at first, just a dark shape near the top of the door. But as I kept watching, I saw it more clearly. A hand, pale, too long and wrong, slipped through the crack in the attic door. It wasn't human. It was just there for a moment, reaching out as if testing the air. Then it slid back through the crack and disappeared. I sat there staring at the screen, trying to make sense of what I'd just seen. I haven't been able to bring myself to look at the footage again. I don't know what that thing was, or what it wants. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to stay in the house much longer. Michelle still won't stop barking at the attic, and tonight the scratching is even louder. We have an update. I spent the last few days in a daze trying to figure out what to do about everything that's been happening. Every night, like clockwork, Michelle would start barking at the attic door, and every night that scratching would begin. I've barely slept. My nerves are shot to hell. I couldn't ignore it anymore. I needed answers. And I knew the only way to get them was to go back to the attic. I didn't want to. God, I really didn't want to. But I couldn't keep living in fear. Last night I finally worked up the courage. I decided I was going to end this once and for all. I waited for Michelle's usual routine to start. As expected, right around 2 a.m. she went off, barking, growling, pawing at the attic door like she was trying to protect me from whatever was up there. The scratching had already begun, louder than ever, accompanied by a soft thumping sound like something was moving behind the door. My heart was racing, but I grabbed a flashlight, a hammer, anything I could use to defend myself, and headed towards the attic. Michelle followed close behind, still barking, her body tense. I slowly opened the door to the attic and made my way up the creaky wooden stairs. The air in the attic was heavier than before, thicker. The dust swirled in the beam of the flashlight, and I could see my breath hanging in the cold, still air. I scanned the space. Same old boxes, same old furniture, everything exactly as I'd left it, except one thing. The mirror. I'd forgotten about it, an old antique mirror that used to hang in my grandmother's bedroom. It was leaned against the far wall, covered in a layer of dust. But as I got closer, I realised something was off. The mirror wasn't reflecting the room properly. In the dim light, I could see that the reflection in the mirror didn't quite match what was behind me. It was subtle at first glance. Everything looked fine, but when I looked closer, I could see the differences. The shadows didn't line up. The boxes weren't arranged in the same way, and worst of all, there was someone in the reflection. Oh, I feel sick. I actually have... Didn't expect that shiver. A figure standing behind me, barely visible, pale and twisted. My breath caught in my throat as I whipped around, but there was nothing there, just Michelle and I. I looked back at the mirror, and the figure was closer now, more distinct. A woman, tall and gaunt. Her skin stretched tight over her bones, her eyes black and hollow. She was watching me. Before I could react, the scratching started again, this time coming from inside the mirror. I stumbled backward, dropping the flashlight. Michelle started barking frantically, her fur bristling as she stared at the mirror, growling like I'd never heard before. The woman's hand, long, pale and wrung, pressed against the glass from the inside, as if she were trying to push her way through. I didn't know what to do. Panic gripped me, and all I could think of was getting out of there. But before I could move, the woman in the mirror spoke. Her voice was a raspy whisper, barely audible over Michelle's barking. "Let me out," she said. I froze. My mind was racing, but I couldn't move, and I couldn't think. The woman's hand pushed harder against the glass, and I could see cracks beginning to form, spider-webbing across the surface of the mirror. "Let me out," she repeated louder this time. Michelle lunged at the mirror, barking furiously, and that seemed to snap me out of my trance. I didn't know what was about to happen, but I knew I had to stop it. I grabbed the hammer and, without thinking, swung it at the mirror with all my strength. The glass shattered with a deafening crash, pieces flying in every direction. For a moment, the attic was filled with a blinding white light, and I felt a cold rush of air, like something had been sucked out of the room. And then silence. I stood there breathing heavily. Surrounded by shards of broken glass, Michelle had stopped barking and the attic was still. The woman, whatever she was gone. The mirror lay in pieces at my feet, the reflection no longer distorted, just empty. I waited, half expecting the scratching to start again, but it never did. It's been a week since that night. I haven't heard any more scratching. Michelle has stopped barking at the door, and for the first time in months, the house feels normal. I don't know what that thing in the mirror was, and I don't want to know. All I know is that it's over. I got rid of the broken pieces of mirror the next day and I've blocked off the attic. I'm not taking any chances. Whatever was up there, it's gone now, and I don't plan on giving it away back in. But there's one thing that still bothers me. Every now and then when I walk past a mirror or a window, I catch something out of the corner of my eye. Just for a split second. A flicker, a shadow. It's probably nothing, but sometimes, just sometimes, I see that woman and she's still smiling. That was creepy. Why is it always dogs barking at something? And a mirror. I am terrified of mirrors. I cannot look in a mirror when it's dark because I always think somebody's going to be behind me. Anyway, let me know in the comment section, what did you think of this one? And don't forget, if you have any scary stories of your own, send them to lindseysworld21@gmail.com, and I will see you guys next time. Bye bye.